at this point, everyone has seen that girl content. The perfectly made bed, the lemon water, Pilates set, the color-coordinated smoothie bowl that somehow costs more than rent. And honestly, a lot of it feels unrealistic. Because no normal person wakes up glowing at 5 a.m. every single day while journaling in sunlight like they're the main character in a wellness commercial. But here's the thing people overlook: underneath all the aesthetic, the actual structure of those routines is weirdly effective. Like psychologically effective. Because even though some of the content online is performative, the science behind routines, habits, and identity shifts is very real. That's why people become obsessed with these videos. It's not really about the matcha. It's about control. It's about becoming the kind of person who has systems instead of chaos. And once you understand the psychology behind why that girl routines work, you can basically build your own version without making your life miserable. Section 1, the identity shift, is the entire point. One of the smartest things psychologists talk about in habit formation is identity-based behavior. Basically, people struggle to stay consistent when their habits feel separate from who they are. For example, if someone says, "I'm trying to work out," their brain still sees exercise as temporary. But if someone starts thinking, "I'm a person who moves my body regularly," their decisions slowly start aligning with that identity automatically. And that's the real reason that girl routines became so powerful online. Not because of skincare fridges. Not because of expensive supplements. Not because everyone suddenly loved waking up early. But because the routine creates identity reinforcement. Every tiny habit becomes evidence of who you are. Making your bed, evidence. Drinking water first thing, evidence. Doing skincare consistently, evidence. Going on a walk instead of rotting in bed for 3 hours, evidence. Your brain starts collecting proof. And eventually it stops feeling like effort and starts feeling normal. That's why people who build strong routines usually seem calmer. Because they've removed constant decision-making from their lives.
The routine decides for them. Incredibly impressionable during that window. So if the first thing you do is scroll TikTok, read stressful notifications, doom scroll Instagram, or compare yourself to strangers online, your brain immediately enters reactive mode. But if the first thing you do is something intentional, movement, sunlight, water, music, stretching, making your bed, your brain interprets the day differently. Which is why people always say, good mornings create productive days. And weirdly enough, they're right. Not because of magic, because of nervous system regulation. Section 3, the environment trick that changes everything. Here's why most people fail at routines. They rely on motivation, which is honestly one of the least reliable things ever. Motivation changes depending on sleep, stress, hormones, weather, mental health, energy, literally everything. So instead of relying on motivation, the smartest thing you can do is reduce friction. Meaning, make good habits easier to start. Because your brain will almost always choose the path requiring the least effort. This is why tiny environmental changes work so well. Putting workout clothes next to your bed, keeping water visible, charging your phone away from your pillow, prepping breakfast the night before, leaving your journal open on your desk. These seem tiny, but psychologically they remove activation energy. And once starting becomes easier, consistency becomes more likely. Also, people underestimate visual cues so much. Your environment quietly shapes your behavior all day. Messy room usually creates mental resistance. Bright natural lighting usually improves mood. Visible skincare products makes routines easier to remember. Your habits are often less about discipline and more about what your environment encourages. Section 4, the that girl routine people actually want. And honestly, most people do not actually want the extreme version of the that girl lifestyle. They don't want a 4 a.m. workout and 12 supplements and celery juice that tastes emotionally devastating. What people actually want is stability. They want to feel put together. They want mornings that don't feel rushed and chaotic. They want to stop feeling behind before the day even starts. That's the emotional appeal. And the healthiest version of the trend is not perfection. It's intentionality. It's creating small routines that make life feel softer. A clean room, good sleep, skincare before bed, going outside more, eating breakfast consistently, stretching while music plays in the background. Tiny habits that quietly improve quality of life. That's the part worth keeping. Not the pressure to look aesthetic 24/7. Section 5, the problem with performing productivity. Now here's where people get stuck. They start performing routines instead of actually living them. And there's a difference. Because some people spend more time trying to look productive than actually building sustainable habits. If your routine only works when everything is perfect, it's not a real routine yet. Real routines survive bad days, exhausted days, messy days, sad days, busy days. And honestly, the best routines are usually the simplest ones. Because simplicity survives. That's why the healthiest version of the that girl routine is not completely transform your life overnight. It's create tiny systems your future self will thank you for. That's it. That's the real secret. So no, becoming that girl is not really about aesthetics. It's not about expensive wellness products or waking up at some unrealistic hour. It's about building routines that reinforce the identity you want to grow into. Because every small habit tells your brain something about who you are. And eventually, those tiny choices become your normal life. So build structure, not pressure. Build systems, not perfection. And honestly, the best routine is never the prettiest one online. It's the one you can actually keep doing consistently. So now I'm curious, what's one habit that genuinely improved your mornings?